Everybody, today I would like to tell you some conversation between two people. Number one, the woman said to the man they were revealed his cover letter and resume and had decided that he was a good candidate for a position in their firm, and she wanted to know if the man could come by for an interview that Friday. The man agreed with her, and he said he was free all day long, and he wanted to know what time he should come in and it how long it will approximately take. The woman replied to him, the preliminary interview will be at 10 in the morning, and it usually takes 20 minutes, and after that she suggested calling back for a final interview that would be on Monday. The man agreed with her, and he said he would be seeing her Friday morning. Number two, the woman wanted to know if the woman knew that old bakery down the street. She had heard that it was going to be closing down soon. The man replied to her that was sad. That shop was owned and operated had operated by an elderly married couple, and then it would probably become a coffee shop chain. The woman replied to him, it was a shame that it was so hard for small family-owned businesses to stay profitable these days, and she wished there had been something they could do. The man suggested staking a fundraiser for the bakery, and he thought that maybe they can keep it open. Number three, the man said to the woman before he could prescribe her daughter any medication. He needed to know how long she had been showing symptoms. The woman replied to him she has started coughing a lot the day after morning, and by the afternoon she had been running a high fever, and she wanted to know if the man thought it was serious. The man replied to her he thought she would be fine. Colds were common among children, especially at that time of years. He could give her some medicines to soothe the cough, and he wanted to know if any errand. The woman replied to him she wasn't allergic to anything, and at least not that she was aware of. Number four, the woman said to the man she had came to ask him if he had time to talk about the design for the new logo that she had submitted the week before. The man disagreed with her because he hadn't got any time right then, and there was an important meeting he had to be at in a few minutes, and it would take all morning. The woman replied to him. She just had wanted to know if the man thought her design had been interesting, or if he wanted her to make any changes. The man suggested stopping by his office before she went home this evening, and they can talk about it then. Number 5. The man said to the woman they was going to arrange a meeting to discuss the new office recycling policy. And the woman replied to him she hadn't heard anything about that, and she wanted to know if they already recycled. The man agreed with her, and however they were going through far too much copy paper. He was afraid it was being wasted, because a number of people there were also neglecting to put used paper in the recycle bins. The woman agreed with him, and she said if they told them be more aware of the problem, she thought they would start conserving more paper. Number 6. The man said to the woman she had asked him to drop off these legal files at the courthouse that afternoon, but he had never been there before, and he wanted to know if the woman knew the best way to get there. The woman replied to him if he drove, it was pretty easy to find, although traffic was potentially bad at that time of day, because the downtown area was crowded and a lot of people were out on their lunch breaks. The man thought he could take the subway or bus, and he wanted to know if the public transportation would get him there quickly. The woman disagreed with him, and she gave him $20, and she suggested catching a cab. Number 7. The woman said hello to the man, and she introduced herself. That was Marinda Baylor from Oak Hill High School, and she said his son Peter was in her English class, and he was calling because she would like to meet with him sometime and talk about his academic performance. The man wanted to know. The man replied to her he hadn't known there was a problem, and he wanted to know if his son was doing poorly. The woman disagreed with him. She said actually he was doing quite well, and she thought he might be eligible to enter enter an advanced program for gifted students. And before she had recommended him, she needed approval from his parents. The man was surprised by that, and he would let his wife know that she couldn't, and they would call her back to schedule an appointment. Number 8. The man said to the woman he wanted to buy a space heater for the bedroom, and it would keep them warm in the winter and reduce their power bills. The woman replied to him she didn't think there was enough room in the bedroom for a space heater, and she was worried it would make the air too dry. The man replied to her, not if they got a new model, and they were making them much smaller these days, and they had already got the humidifier. The woman said she guessed it was worth a try. She sure hoped he was right about the power bill. They had been paying far too much ever since the weather became cold. Number 9. The man said to the woman they had just received her shipment of limited edition bobhead lamps, and they had been extremely impressed with the craftsmanship, and they were very confident that product would sell big in their stores. So they were wondering if the woman could make another 20 units by May. The woman replied to him they were very glad that he had been satisfied with their shipment, but 20 units by May was a very big order, and she didn't think they could have that all done by May, and she would need at least a month to have that all done. The man said they had been worried about that, but he could assure the woman that she would be very well compensated if she could have all 20 units done by May, and they would cover all shipping costs as well. The woman replied to him that was a tempting offer, and if they shipped by air, that would take away a bit of the burden, but she didn't think that would be enough, and she would contact the factory and see if they could outsource the part of contract with another company, perhaps even hired more workers. and she suggests she could phone her people and have an answer for him by Tuesday. Number 10. The man got the woman's attention, and he wanted to know if the woman could tell him where to find mustard. The woman replied to him he could find mustard and the rest of the condiments in aisle 5. Buns and bread are in aisle 10. And if he was planning his summer cookout, she suggested checking out their sale at the butcher's counter, because the hamburger patties were on sale. The man wanted to know, what about steaks? Because his wife had asked him to pick up some steaks for dinner, and he wanted to know if they were sale too. The woman agreed with him. She said some brands of steak were on sale, and he could ask which ones when he get there. Okay, thanks for your watching.